My dear friends, if you want to know your real personality, don't ask your mirror, because the mirror will only show your face. Ask the people around you, because they are the true reflection of your personality. Pause, smile, you see. A mirror can only tell you if your hair is fine, but your friends, family, and colleagues will tell you if your behavior is fine. So today, let's talk about how to improve our personality every single day, not just once in a while, but daily. Because personality is not about the clothes we wear, the gadgets we own, or the social media likes we collect. It's about the impression we leave behind in someone's heart. When we speak of improving our personality, the very first and most powerful thing to cultivate every single day is gratitude. Gratitude is not simply saying thank you when someone does a favor, it is a lifestyle, a mindset, and a way of looking at life. Every morning when you open your eyes, there is already so much to be thankful for. The fact that you woke up, that you are breathing, that your heart is beating, that your family members are safe, that you have food in your kitchen and a roof over your head. These are things millions of people in this world are desperately praying for. Yet for many of us, they are so ordinary that we hardly notice them. But when you pause and reflect, you realize that every small blessing is a reason to smile, a reason to live with joy, and a reason to radiate positivity through your personality. Think about it this way: two people can wake up in the same city, in the same weather, with the same routine, but their day will look completely different based on how they begin it. One person wakes up grumbling, "Oh no, another Monday, another stressful day, so much work. Why me?" The other person wakes up and whispers, "Thank you for this day. Thank you that I am alive. Thank you for the people in my life and the opportunities ahead." Both of them face the same traffic jam, the same workload, and the same challenges, but the second person carries a light in his personality. People are drawn to that energy. His colleagues find him approachable. His family feels comforted by him, and strangers feel respected around him. Gratitude doesn't change the situation outside, but it completely transforms the way we handle it. In daily life, gratitude works like invisible magic. Imagine you go to a small tea stall on the roadside, and the man serving you has been standing there since early morning, dealing with endless customers. You take your cup of tea, hand him the money, and walk away silently. He has just done his job. But now imagine you take that cup, smile, and say, "Thank you, bye. This tea is wonderful. You've really made my day better." You may think it's a small thing, but watch how his tired face lights up. That single word of appreciation can make him feel valued. Gratitude has the power to turn ordinary interactions into extraordinary connections, and such moments slowly polish your personality into one that leaves warmth wherever you go. Gratitude also helps us in moments of difficulty. Life is not always smooth. There are disappointments, failures, and painful days. But if you train your mind to look for blessings, even in those moments, your personality will develop resilience. Suppose you missed a flight. Most people would panic, complain, and become angry. But someone with gratitude would say, "It's okay. Maybe I was saved from some unseen trouble. At least I have another flight tomorrow. At least I am safe." This ability to see the silver lining not only calms you down, but also inspires everyone around you. People will admire your composure and strength, and they will say, "This is a person whose personality is grounded, someone I can look up to." Another example: in families, we often forget gratitude. A mother cooks meals every single day, cleans, organizes, and ensures everything runs smoothly. But how often do children or even spouses say, "Thank you for this meal, thank you for your effort, I appreciate you"? Simple words of gratitude can heal relationships. A child who grows up in a home filled with gratitude learns naturally to become humble and respectful. A spouse who practices gratitude adds charm to their personality because they focus on appreciating rather than criticizing. In the workplace too, gratitude is like a secret strength. An employee who only complains about workload, salary, and management will never shine in personality, but the one who says, "I am grateful for the opportunity to learn, I appreciate my team, I value my boss's guidance," will be noticed, respected, and remembered. Gratitude makes you stand out not because of what you achieve, but because of who you become in the process. What is even more beautiful is that gratitude is contagious. When you practice it, others begin to mirror it. If you walk into a room with complaints, you spread negativity. But if you walk in with gratitude, you spread hope. Over time, people will associate your personality with positivity, kindness, and calmness. That is why gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a personality enhancer. It shapes the way people perceive you, and more importantly, it shapes the way you perceive yourself. So, start with small steps. Every night before you sleep, instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone, close your eyes and recall 3 things you were grateful for that day. Maybe it was a friend's kind message, a delicious meal, or even just the fact that you made it through a tough meeting. Write it down if possible. Slowly your mind will train itself to look for good, even in hard times. This habit, though simple, will elevate your personality in ways you cannot imagine. People will start saying, "There's something different about you. You feel so peaceful, so positive." A gratitude softens arrogance, reduces jealousy, and kills negativity. It helps you stay humble even when you achieve great success, and it helps you stay hopeful even when life is difficult. When people meet you, they may forget the details of your conversation, but they will never forget the feeling you left them with. And gratitude ensures that feeling is always warm, inspiring, and uplifting. That is why, if you truly want to improve your personality every day, begin by practicing gratitude. Wake up with it, live with it, share it, and end your day with it. Gratitude is not about having everything. It is about recognizing the value of what you already have. And once you live with that awareness, your personality will shine naturally, like a lamp that does not need to be advertised, because its light will always attract those in the dark. Listening is one of the most underrated, yet most powerful qualities that can completely transform your personality. When we think about improving ourselves, we often focus on how we speak, how we dress, how confidently we present ourselves. But if you observe carefully, the people who are most loved, most respected, and most remembered are not always the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who know how to listen deeply. There is something magical about a person who makes you feel truly heard. Their personality becomes magnetic, not because of their words, but because of their ability to absorb yours. In daily life, you will notice how people crave listeners. Everyone has stories, problems, dreams, and emotions bottled inside them. The tragedy is that in today's fast paced digital world, most of us are in a hurry to respond rather than to understand. We listen halfway, and before the other person has even finished, we are already preparing our answer. This creates frustration and distance. But when you practice genuine listening, you give the other person one of the rarest gifts, your full attention. And that is a gift people never forget. Take, for example, a simple family scenario. A child comes home excited after school and says, "Mom, guess what happened today?" But the mother is busy scrolling through her phone or cooking in the kitchen and absent-mindedly says, "Yes, yes, tell me," without really listening. The child senses that lack of attention and slowly learns to keep feelings inside. But imagine if the same mother puts the phone down, looks into her child's eyes, and says, "Wow, I want to hear everything. Tell me." That child feels valued, loved, and important. Over years, this kind of listening builds trust and confidence in the child. It also shapes the mother's personality as warm, approachable, and caring. Listening is not only important in families, but also in friendships and relationships. How many times have we seen friendships break or marriages struggle simply because one person feels unheard? A husband may talk about his struggles at work, but if the wife constantly interrupts with, "Oh, that's nothing. Listen to what happened to me," he will feel his voice is invisible. A friend may share her heartbreak, but if you are busy checking your notifications while she speaks, she will feel alone. But if you offer silence, attention, and empathy, you are silently telling them, "Your feelings matter to me." That simple act strengthens bonds more than 1,000 comforting words. Even in professional life, listening is a personality trait that sets leaders apart. A boss who only gives instructions and never listens creates fear, not loyalty. But a boss who patiently listens to his team members' ideas, problems, or even complaints earns respect. People naturally follow someone who values their voice. Think of great leaders throughout history. They were not only powerful speakers, but also humble listeners. They absorbed the needs, pains, and aspirations of people before making decisions. This quality is what made their personalities unforgettable. One everyday example that proves the value of listening is even seen in something as simple as traveling. Imagine sitting in a train or waiting room. A stranger begins to share about their life, perhaps their struggles or joys. You don't know them, you may never meet them again, but if you just listen with genuine attention, you may notice their face lighten up. Why? Because you gave them something they rarely get: time and space to express themselves without judgment. That moment may mean little to you, but it means everything to them. Listening also requires humility. It means accepting that the world doesn't revolve around your words, your stories, your achievements. It means realizing that wisdom is not only in speaking but in understanding. Often the best ideas and lessons come not from our mouths, but from the words of others, if only we allow them to be heard. Sometimes people say, "I don't know why, but I feel so comfortable around you." That comfort comes from your listening, not your speaking. Developing this skill requires practice. In conversations, consciously stop yourself from interrupting. Maintain eye contact, nod, and show interest. Don't just wait for the other person to pause so that you can insert your opinion. Instead, ask questions that show you are truly engaged. How did that make you feel? What happened after that? These small gestures of listening make people open up more. And every time someone feels heard, your personality shines brighter in their eyes. Listening also teaches patience. In an argument, most people are quick to defend themselves. But if you pause and listen, you may realize the other person's perspective, and conflicts resolve faster. Many fights in families and workplaces could vanish if people simply listened instead of shouting. A calm listener becomes a peacemaker, and that adds tremendous value to their personality. On a deeper level, listening connects us to the human heart. Words are not always clear. People often hide their real pain behind casual sentences. A true listener catches the unsaid, the hidden emotions, the trembling voice behind the words. This sensitivity makes you more compassionate, and compassion is one of the most beautiful aspects of personality. So, if you want to improve your personality every single day, train yourself in the art of listening. Start small. When your parents speak, pause what you're doing and give them full attention. When your friend calls, resist the urge to multitask and just listen. When your colleague is stressed, allow them to vent without judgment. These small moments create a powerful image of you in people's minds, a person who respects values and understands. Listening may look passive, but in reality, it is one of the most active and powerful forces in shaping who you are. It deepens relationships, resolves conflicts, builds trust, and creates an aura of humility around you. People may forget the clever things you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel by simply listening. And in the end, isn't that the essence of a beautiful personality? To leave others feeling valued, understood, and cared for. Control over our reactions is one of the most powerful aspects of personality, yet it is also one of the most difficult to master. Life is unpredictable. We cannot control everything that happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. This truth may sound simple, but in practice, it defines the difference between a personality that inspires and a personality that repels. When situations test us, when people provoke us, when unexpected events disturb our peace, the way we react reveals our true character more than anything else. Think about a traffic jam. Almost everyone has experienced being stuck on a busy road when they are already late for work or an important meeting. The natural instinct is to honk the horn, get irritated, mutter complaints, and maybe even blame the government or other drivers. This kind of reaction doesn't make the cars move faster. It only increases blood pressure and spreads negativity. Now picture someone in the same traffic jam who chooses to stay calm. He turns on some soothing music, uses the time to call a loved one, or simply breathes deeply and accepts the situation. Which personality do you think others will remember? The one who shouted and created tension, or the one who stayed peaceful and spread calmness? Life constantly puts us in traffic jams of different kinds. Delays, disappointments, disagreements, and our personality shines when we learn to control our reactions in those jams. Another example comes from family life. Imagine a child accidentally spills milk on the table. One parent reacts with anger. "Why can't you be careful? You always do this." The child feels small, scared, and unloved. Another parent, though maybe equally tired, takes a breath and calmly says, "It's okay, let's clean it together. Next time, hold the glass with both hands." The mistake is the same, but the reaction changes everything. One reaction breaks confidence, the other builds it. Over years, the child will not remember the spilled milk, but will always remember the personality of the parent, either as harsh and angry or as patient and kind. Control of reactions is also crucial in workplaces. Imagine a boss who loses his temper at every small mistake. Employees may fear him, but they will never respect him. Fear does not inspire loyalty, it only creates distance. But a boss who remains composed, who points out errors without shouting, and who guides with patience, develops a personality that others admire. People think, "Here is a leader I can trust. Here is someone who values me more than my mistake." Reaction becomes the difference between a toxic workplace and a thriving one. We can also observe this truth in friendships and marriages. Many relationships collapse not because of big betrayals, but because of uncontrolled reactions to small issues. A careless word, a forgotten chore, or a delayed reply can trigger anger, sarcasm, or cold silence. Over time, these negative reactions create walls between hearts. But if we pause before reacting, if we choose patience over anger and understanding over criticism, bonds grow stronger. For example, a wife may forget to call her husband during a busy day. One reaction is, "You don't care about me at all. You never think of me." Another reaction is, "I know you had a busy day. I missed you, but I understand." Which response do you think nurtures love, and which one creates bitterness? Personality is measured not when everything goes well, but in how we react when expectations are not met. A wise saying goes, "You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." Problems, provocations, and disappointments are the waves of life. Our reactions are the surfboard. If we lose balance, we drown in negativity. If we stay steady, we glide with grace. A calm reaction is not weakness, it is strength under control. It shows maturity, discipline, and self-awareness. People admire such individuals because they radiate stability in a world full of chaos. One of the best ways to train reactions is through mindfulness. Instead of firing back instantly, take a breath, pause, and give yourself a moment. That small gap between action and reaction is the space where wisdom lives. For instance, if someone insults you, the natural impulse is to insult back. But if you pause, you may realize that their words reflect their pain, not your reality. By choosing silence or a calm reply, you protect your peace and display a personality that is strong and unshakable. Over time, people come to know you as someone who cannot be easily provoked, someone who carries dignity, even in difficult moments. Reactions also define how others trust us. Imagine a friend who always overreacts, whether it's a minor inconvenience or a serious problem. They explode with the same intensity. Slowly, people start avoiding sharing things with them because they fear the reaction. On the other hand, a friend who listens calmly, who reacts with balance, becomes the one everyone turns to. Their personality becomes a safe place, a shelter in storms. That is the power of controlled reactions. In daily life, we all face situations that test us. Long queues, rude comments, mistakes by others, sudden delays. Each of these is an opportunity to build our personality brick by brick. every time you control anger, every time you respond with patience, every time you replace irritation with empathy, you polish your character. These small victories over yourself accumulate into a personality that shines with wisdom and grace. So, controlling your reactions is not about suppressing emotions, it is about channeling them wisely. It is about realizing that anger, irritation, and harshness rarely solve problems, but calmness, patience, and kindness often do. People may forget the details of situations, but they will always remember how you reacted to them. And when they remember, they will define your personality not by what happened, but by how you handled what happened. This is why mastering your reactions is perhaps the greatest investment you can make in yourself. It requires practice, awareness, and self-control, but the reward is priceless, a personality that inspires trust, spreads peace, and earns deep respect. In the end, life will always test you, but your reaction will always define you. And when you learn to control your reactions, your personality becomes like a lighthouse, steady, shining, and guiding others even through the darkest storms. A smile is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to improve your personality, and the beauty of it is that it costs nothing. We often think of personality in terms of how confidently we speak, how stylishly we dress, or how knowledgeable we sound. But the truth is, none of these things can match the warmth and charm that a genuine smile brings to your face and to your interactions. A smile is like sunshine. It brightens not only your own day, but also the day of those around you. It silently communicates kindness, approachability, and positivity without a single word being spoken. Imagine entering a room full of strangers. You may not know anyone, but the moment you smile, you open a door to connection. People feel safe to approach you, conversations start flowing, and barriers begin to dissolve. On the other hand, if you walk in with a frown, no matter how intelligent or talented you may be, people will hesitate to come near. A smile draws people in, a frown pushes them away. Personality is not just about what you achieve, it is about the impression you leave. And nothing leaves a more lasting impression than the warmth of a smile. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever met someone for the first time and felt instantly comfortable, simply because they greeted you with a cheerful smile? That smile made you feel welcomed, valued, and respected. Now think about another time when someone barely looked at you or gave a cold, serious expression. No matter how accomplished that person was, their lack of warmth made you feel distant. This shows how a simple gesture can influence how others perceive us. A smile is not just a facial expression, it is a reflection of the heart, and it silently shapes our personality every single day. In family life, a smile is a healer. After a long day of work, when a husband comes home tired, imagine the difference between being greeted by a spouse with a frown and complaints versus being welcomed with a smile and a gentle, "How was your day?" The tiredness does not vanish, but the burden becomes lighter. Children, too, thrive on smiles. A parent's smile gives them confidence and reassurance. When a child brings a messy drawing or sings an off-key song, what they are really looking for is the parent's smile of approval. That smile tells them, "You matter, you are loved." Over time, these moments shape their own personalities into confident, happy individuals. In the workplace as well, A smile can set the tone for the entire environment. Picture a leader who always looks tense, serious, and unapproachable. Employees may respect his authority, but they will fear his presence. Now picture a leader who smiles while giving instructions, who greets his team members warmly in the morning. That simple act transforms the workplace atmosphere from stressful to welcoming. People feel more motivated to work with someone who radiates positivity. A smiling leader is not weak. In fact, their personality commands deeper respect because they combine authority with approachability. Even in ordinary, everyday life, a smile can create extraordinary experiences. When you stand in a queue at a grocery store or deal with a waiter at a restaurant, your smile can make their tiring job feel lighter. A cashier who has been standing for hours, facing impatient customers, will remember the one person who smiled and said, "Thank you." That moment doesn't just make them feel appreciated, it also leaves an impression of you as a kind and pleasant individual. Smiles are contagious. When you give one, you often receive one back, and the cycle of positivity continues. Of course, smiling doesn't mean ignoring life's difficulties. We all face challenges, stress at work, disagreements at home, personal struggles. But a person who can carry a smile, even in tough times, shows strength of character. It does not mean pretending that everything is perfect. It means choosing not to let negativity steal your inner peace. Such individuals inspire others because their personality becomes a reminder that attitude is more powerful than circumstance. People admire those who can stay cheerful in storms because it gives them hope that they too can face their struggles with courage. One beautiful aspect of a smile is that it breaks boundaries of language, culture, and background. You may travel to a country where you don't understand a single word, but when you smile at someone, they instantly feel your warmth. No translation is required. That is why a smile is called a universal language. It connects hearts beyond words. This ability to connect makes your personality truly global, allowing you to leave a mark wherever you go. A smile also affects you personally. Science shows that smiling releases endorphins, reduces stress, and improves mood. In other words, when you smile, you don't just make others happy, you make yourself happy. Over time, this habit builds a personality that is naturally cheerful and optimistic. People are drawn to such individuals because being around them feels uplifting. Just as we all prefer to walk in sunshine rather than sit in darkness, we all prefer the company of those who smile rather than those who constantly frown. Sometimes people say, "But I don't feel like smiling. Life is tough." And yes, life can be tough, but smiling is not about denying reality, it is about choosing hope. When you smile despite challenges, you are telling life, "You cannot defeat me." That resilience becomes part of your personality, and people begin to see you as strong, inspiring, and graceful under pressure. In the end, a smile is a small gesture with a large impact. It costs nothing, yet it enriches both the giver and the receiver. It turns strangers into friends, heals wounds in relationships, eases tension in workplaces, and spreads light in the darkest of days. If you want to improve your personality every day, make smiling a habit. Not a fake, forced smile, but a genuine reflection of kindness, gratitude, and positivity. Because while people may forget your words or your actions, They will never forget how your smile made them feel. Empathy is the ability to step into another person's shoes, to feel what they feel, and to see the world from their perspective. It is more than sympathy, which is simply feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is deeper. It is about understanding, connecting, and sharing a part of someone else's journey. When you cultivate empathy, your personality becomes like a safe harbor where people find comfort and acceptance. It makes you more human, more approachable, and more inspiring. In a world where many are quick to judge and slow to understand, empathy stands out as a rare and beautiful quality. Think about a simple daily life situation. You are in a crowded bus and someone steps on your foot. The immediate reaction is to get irritated and shout, "Can't you be careful?" But then you notice the person looks tired, maybe returning from a long day of work. If you pause for a moment and think, perhaps he didn't mean to, perhaps he is exhausted, your reaction softens. Instead of anger, you respond with understanding. That small act of empathy not only avoids unnecessary conflict, but also reflects maturity and grace in your personality. Empathy plays a powerful role in families as well. A child throws a tantrum because their toy broke. To an adult, this seems silly, it's just a toy. The easy response is to say, "Stop crying, it's not a big deal." But to the child, that toy was their whole world in that moment. If you kneel down, hug them, and say, "I know it hurts when something we love breaks. I understand you feel sad," you validate their emotions. That child learns that their feelings matter. Over time, this approach builds trust, and your personality shines as one that is nurturing and compassionate. In marriages and relationships too, empathy is the glue that keeps bonds strong. For instance, imagine a husband comes home late from work and the wife is upset. The husband could react by defending himself, saying, "I work so hard. Why are you always complaining?" But if he pauses to empathize and says, "I understand you felt lonely waiting for me. I'm sorry for that," the tension eases. The wife feels heard, not dismissed. Similarly, when a wife faces stress from household responsibilities, an empathetic husband doesn't just say, "You should manage better," but instead says, "I see how much you do. I know it's overwhelming. How can I help?" These small empathetic responses strengthen love and make personalities blossom into ones that bring peace instead of conflict. Empathy is equally important in the workplace. Imagine an employee misses a deadline. A manager without empathy immediately labels them as lazy or careless. But a manager with empathy asks, "What happened? Is there something troubling you?" Maybe the employee is facing family issues or health problems. By showing empathy, the manager not only solves the issue, but also builds loyalty. The employee feels respected and supported, and this deepens their commitment. Such leaders are remembered long after people leave the job, because their personality is marked not just by authority, but by humanity. Another beautiful example of empathy is seen in friendships. Often when a friend shares a problem, the instinct is to give advice or compare. "Oh, that's nothing. I've been through worse." But true empathy does not compete with pain. It listens and says, "I may not fully understand, but I'm here with you." That presence is sometimes more healing than 100 solutions. Friends who show empathy become irreplaceable because their personality is a source of comfort in times of need. Even with strangers, empathy can transform lives. Imagine you see a beggar on the street. Some people ignore them or judge them, saying they should work instead of begging. But empathy asks you to pause and consider, maybe this person never had the opportunities you did. Maybe their story is filled with struggles you can't imagine. You may not be able to change their life entirely, but even a kind word, a smile, or a small act of help reflects a personality that values every human being. And sometimes, your small act of empathy becomes a turning point in someone else's story. Empathy also helps in controlling our judgments. Too often we look at someone's actions without knowing their background. A student who is always late may be assumed careless, but maybe he walks miles to school because his family cannot afford transport. A colleague who seems quiet may be battling personal loss. A person who seems rude may be carrying pain inside. When you choose empathy over judgment, your personality radiates kindness. People feel safe around you because they know you will try to understand rather than condemn. The impact of empathy on your own life is also powerful. When you practice empathy, you become more patient, more forgiving, and less stressed. You realize that everyone is fighting a battle you cannot see. This awareness reduces anger and increases compassion. It makes your personality calmer and your presence more soothing. People begin to see you as someone they can trust, someone who brings peace instead of pressure. Empathy does not require grand gestures. It is found in small, everyday actions, listening without interrupting, noticing when someone is upset, offering a hand when someone struggles, or simply acknowledging another person's feelings. These small acts, repeated daily, shape your personality into one that leaves a mark on every heart you encounter. In the end, empathy is about choosing to see the world not only through your own eyes, but through the eyes of others. It is about replacing quick judgments with patient understanding, harsh criticism with gentle support, and indifference with care. A person with empathy becomes like a bridge, connecting hearts, healing wounds, and spreading kindness. And that is what makes a personality truly unforgettable. People may forget what you achieved, but they will never forget how you made them feel understood. Empathy ensures that your personality is not just noticed but cherished. Learning is the fuel that keeps the personality growing. A person who stops learning, even if they have achieved great things, slowly begins to stagnate. Just like water that doesn't flow becomes stale, a mind that doesn't absorb new knowledge loses freshness. On the other hand, when you keep learning every day, your personality shines with curiosity, depth, and wisdom. People are naturally drawn to someone who is open, evolving, and willing to grow. Learning is not confined to schools, colleges, or degrees. It is a lifelong process. Everyday life gives us lessons, and the more we embrace them, the more attractive our personality becomes. Think about the people you admire. Why do you admire them? It's not only because of what they achieved, but because they kept improving themselves. Take, for example, a teacher who has been teaching for 30 years. If she uses the same notes, the same stories, and the same methods from the day she started, students may respect her position but not feel inspired by her personality. Now think of another teacher who, even after decades of teaching, keeps reading new books, learns from her students, experiments with new styles. She is alive, vibrant, and inspiring. Her personality leaves an impression not because of her title, but because of her openness to learn. In our daily lives, there are countless opportunities to learn. Sometimes it is through books, sometimes through people, sometimes through challenges. A person who keeps learning develops humility because they realize there is always something new to discover. Imagine two colleagues in an office. One says, I already know everything about this field. I don't need to learn. The other says, I may know a lot, but I want to keep updating myself. I want to learn from others, even juniors, whose personality will be more inspiring. The second one, because people admire growth, not arrogance. Learning also improves relationships. Many arguments happen because people refuse to learn from each other. For example, in a marriage, if one partner says, this is how I am, I will never change, it creates frustration. But if the partner says, I will try to learn how to understand you better, I will try to improve myself for the sake of our relationship, that willingness melts hearts. A personality that is willing to learn becomes flexible, adaptable, and lovable. Even failures become teachers when you have a learning mindset. Imagine someone starts a business and it fails. One person reacts with bitterness. I am unlucky, life is unfair, I give up. Another reacts with curiosity. What can I learn from this? How can I improve next time? The second person's personality shines brighter because they are not defined by failure, but by their ability to learn from it. This attitude not only earns respect, but also inspires others to face their struggles with courage. One of the most powerful ways to learn daily is by reading. Books are like silent mentors. They share the wisdom of people you may never meet, but can still learn from. A person who reads regularly has depth in conversation, perspective in thinking, and humility in personality. When you talk to them, you feel enriched. In contrast, someone who never learns beyond their own experience has a very narrow view of life, and it shows in their personality. But learning is not only in books, it is also in observing people. For example, you may see a waiter serving in a restaurant. His patience, his smile, his way of handling rude customers can teach you about humility and grace. You may see a child playing, and their innocence can teach you about joy. You may see an elderly person walking slowly but steadily, and that can teach you about perseverance. Life is like an open classroom, but only those with the attitude to learn every day truly grow. Technology has made learning even more accessible. With podcasts, videos, and online courses, we can learn anytime, anywhere. But the key is not just to consume information, but to apply it. For example, you may watch a motivational video about gratitude, but unless you practice it in daily life, the learning doesn't shape your personality. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it is lived, and that is when it adds depth to who you are. Another important part of learning is to learn from criticism. Most people get defensive when someone points out their mistakes. But a person who listens with humility and says, maybe there is some truth in this, maybe I can improve, grows faster. Their personality becomes stronger because they are not afraid of being wrong. They are focused on becoming better. This humility is what makes others admire them deeply. Learning daily also keeps your personality fresh. Imagine meeting someone after many years and they are exactly the same. Same stories, same mindset, same complaints. It feels dull. Now imagine meeting someone who has learned new skills, read new books, traveled to new places, and grown in perspective. Talking to them feels like a refreshing breeze. This is the magic of constant learning. It keeps you alive in the eyes of others. The truth is, learning is not about perfection. It is about progress. No one expects you to become an expert in everything, but people are inspired when they see that you are a learner, a seeker, a person who is always striving to become a better version of yourself. This growth-oriented personality stands out in any crowd because it carries humility, curiosity, and wisdom all at once. So, make it a practice to learn something every day. It could be a new word, a new perspective, a new skill, or simply a life lesson from a small experience. Over time, these small learnings shape your personality into something rich, layered, and inspiring. People will not only respect you for what you know, but they will love you for your openness to keep learning. And that, more than anything else, will ensure that your personality never stops growing, shining, and touching lives. So, my dear friends, your personality is like a fragrance. You don't see it, but people feel it. Every day, add a little gratitude, a little listening, a little empathy, and a little kindness, and soon your personality will become your biggest strength. And always remember, people may forget what you said, people may forget what you did, but they will never forget how your personality made them feel. Thank you very much.